Pleasure to support the Noble Lord Berkeley's regret motion, even though I think regret motions are pathetic, really. But anyway, it means at least a debate.
Better than nothing.
Better than nothing. You know, as somebody who's watched this government for a long time now, I just can't believe that it's backtracked on so many of its plans, on so many of its... Actually, it had very few plans to start with, but it seems to have backtracked on all of them about delivering net zero. And they seem not to even understand what net zero means. The government was taken to court, as Noble Lord Berkeley says, because it's obvious that the UK is going to fail to do its bit to save the planet, and it lost in court because it no longer believes in doing the right thing. And the government's now fighting another court case because it cut 200 million from the promotion of walking and cycling, a key part of delivering net zero. I almost think that I, or someone else, possibly on this bench, ought to write the Ladybird book of transport policy for climate change deniers, because really you do need to understand what we are going to see in the future. Because as has been said, transport accounts for nearly a third of emissions. And despite 1 million electric vehicles on our roads, those emissions have hardly changed in a decade. All the road building has led to extra cars and longer traffic jams. Instead of switching people away from their cars by creating places to live that are within easy 15-minute walks of shops and services, this government has run down bus services and built sprawling suburbs that actually increase the use of cars. Now, obviously, one big reason for the government doing the wrong thing, rather than the right thing, is the millions the Conservatives have received in donations from the oil and gas industry. Gas and oil people want drivers to spend longer driving to the shops, and they want drivers filling up at petrol stations because that means more money for them. And gas and oil don't really like cycling or walking, all those cheap, easy things, because those people aren't making them money. And the big polluters finance Tufton Street, think tanks and social media bots because they want to squeeze as much money out of their planet-killing business as they possibly can. Now, the Noble Lord Berkeley said the government has an unsavoury reputation on climate change, but I don't think it's unsavoury. I think it's ignorant. And I just don't understand how you can go through the last few years of hearing what is happening on climate change and still be so ignorant about it. So I don't expect this government to change its mind. I expect them to lose the general election and then have nothing to do with transport policy and not be a political force worth taking or worth talking about for the next, I don't know, how many years in government do you want? A couple of terms? So I'm going to focus my remarks now, my next few remarks, to those in the next government. Because these national policy statements were your idea, and they're a really good idea. And to make them work, we have to make sure that the Treasury listens and you get the funding to deliver real change. I remember when I was Deputy Mayor of London to Ken Livingstone, and I told him that if we were going to be serious about creating more cycling routes, we were going to need 100 million a year, and there was a huge shudder of shock around his whole office. But it was eventually accepted that if you want to change things, if you want to get people more safely walking and cycling, then you need the sort of money that we might spend on a new road. And the truth is, if you build those opportunities, people will take them. So we need to imagine a future that is better than what we have now and spend the money building that future.
Yeah.